Hi guys, so today I'm going to be showing you how to arm knit the seed stitch. It's basically combining knits and purls, and I will get right into it and show you how to do it. The yarn that we're going to be using today is the Couture Jazz by Premier Yarns. This is my favorite yarn for arm knitting. And if you're wondering, this is in the color Nickel, and I have 8 skeins all together. The first thing that you want to do is grab your strand here from the outside. I like to use the strand that's on the outside of the skein rather than trying to find the one in the center. This just kind of keeps it from getting twisted while you're arm knitting. So go ahead and find your end here. I'm going to throw my skein on the floor, and now we're going to go ahead and pull about a 6-foot tail from this skein, because we're going to be doing the long tail cast on. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and the next thing you want to do is make a slip knot. So to make a slip knot, you want to drape the yarn over your hand, pinch the 2 strands together, twist your hand away from you, and then you're going to go ahead and grab the working yarn, which is the yarn or the strand that's attached to the skein. And then you can go ahead and put that right on your arm. Tighten it up a little bit, and the next thing you want to do is begin casting on. This is the long tail cast on, like I said, so it's a little bit trickier, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy to do. We're going to go ahead and cast on a total of 18 stitches, and this is going to make up the width of your blanket. So to do the long tail cast on, you're going to go ahead and place both the tail and the working yarn, again, which is the one that is attached to the skein. Place them both under your ring finger and your pinky, and then you're going to take your index finger and your thumb, insert them between the 2 strands and kind of spread the strands apart. And then you're going to turn your hand so that it faces you, that your palm faces you, and then you're going to go ahead and begin making your stitches. So take your index finger on your right hand, you're going to go under, see if I can show you this, under this strand, over this one, and then you're going to pick up this strand in the back. So take your index finger, go under, over, and then pick up that strand in the back, pull it through, and this is now your new stitch, and you're going to go ahead and just place that right on your arm. Tighten up a little bit. So now we have 2 stitches because the slip knot counted as your first stitch, and then we cast on 1. So now we're going to go ahead and do that again. So place the 2 strands under your ring finger and your pinky. Take your index finger and your thumb and put them in between the 2 strands, separate them. Okay, and then you're going to turn your hand so the palm of your hand faces you, and then take your index finger on your right hand, go under, over, and pick up this one to create your new stitch. So we're going to go under, over, and pick up that strand in the back, and you're going to go ahead and place that right on your arm and tighten up. I'll show you one more time, and then I'm going to go ahead and cast on all of my 18 stitches. So place the 2 strands under your ring finger and your pinky, insert your index finger and your thumb, spread those apart, turn your hand, and then take your index finger and go under, over, and pick up the strand in the back to create your new loop and place that onto your arm. And yes, as you are casting on, your tail is supposed to get shorter. You should be left with at least a few inches. I'm left with about 1 foot. And then at the end of the blanket, you'll be able to weave this in. Now that we're done with the hard part, we're going to go ahead and start knitting our rows. So with the seed stitch, you're going to knit and purl your stitches. So we're going to knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1 all the way across the row. So to knit your first stitch, you want to hold the working yarn in your right hand, Take the first stitch on your arm, pull it over and off of your hand while holding onto the working yarn. This is your new stitch, and you're going to place that onto your left arm. To tighten it, just push up on this here and then pull on the working yarn. You want to keep your stitches as tight as possible. The next stitch we're going to purl, so you want to go ahead and take it off of your arm, and then you're going to take the working yarn, place it on the back side of your stitch, and then pull it through and place it right on your left arm. Okay, and then it gives you that little bump there on this stitch. The next one we're going to knit. So again, hold the working yarn in your right hand, take the next stitch, pull it over and off while holding onto the working yarn. So you pull up a new stitch here, place it on your left arm, and tighten it up as much as possible. The next one we're going to purl. So go ahead and take that next stitch off of your right arm, and then you're going to take the working yarn, place it on this side of the stitch, pull it through to the other side, creating a new stitch, and place that on your left arm. Okay, and then we're gonna knit one, and then we're gonna purl one, knit one, purl one, and I'm gonna finish doing that all the way across, knitting one and then purling one until I come to the end of my row. Okay, so we completed knitting one and purling one all the way across the row. And as you can see, it might be kind of hard to see on this first row here, but these little bumps here are your purls, okay? And the other ones are your knits. So now we're going to do the second row, and in the second row, you're going to knit your purls and purl your knits. So this first one here is a purl. So we're going to go ahead and knit it. So to do that, you want to hold the working yarn in your left hand, pull this first stitch over and off while holding the working yarn, and place that new stitch onto your right arm. And now the second one we want to purl because it is a knit stitch. So to purl it, you want to take it off of your hand or off of your arm, place the yarn on this side, pull it through to the other side, and place that onto your right arm. Remember to tighten up as much as you can. This next stitch is a purl, so we want to knit it. And the next stitch is a knit stitch, so we want to purl it. And we're going to continue doing that. So you can see here, if I can get a good angle, these ones with the bumps are the purls, so those are the ones you want to knit, and these ones are the knits, so those are the ones you want to purl. This one is a purl, so we're going to knit it. The next one is a knit stitch, so we're going to purl it. So you should always be ending with a purl stitch in every row. Okay, that was row 2. So that was row 2. So now I'm going to go ahead and do row 3. This one is a purl stitch, so we're going to go ahead and knit it. And remember to tighten it up. The next one is a knit stitch, so we're going to purl. And then knit, and then purl. Now when you come to the end of one of your skeins and you want to add a new one, I will show you how I do that. This is our second skein here. Just take the wrapper off, find the end, and I just like to tie a double knot, and then I will go in, make sure you pull it really tight so it doesn't come undone. And then you'll just go in and trim the excess kind of to the shape of the knot so it's less noticeable. And then we're going to finish up this row here. And then as you're going, just kind of tug on the blanket a little bit because it will get a little bit bunched up. So that is 3 rows, and now we're going to go on to row 4. So that was 4 rows. I'm going to continue knitting my blanket, and when I'm done, I'll let you know how many rows I end up knitting, and then I'll show you how to end your blanket. So I'm moving on to row 22, and it's actually moving along pretty quickly at this point once you get the hang of it. So what I'm doing now when I do my pearls is I take it, flip it over my hand, and just push it through while slipping the other stitch off of my arm. And I'll show you that again. I find that it's moving along much quicker now. You can do it the other way, and then when you get the hang of it, you can try to do it this way. So I'm just flipping the yarn onto my wrist and then pushing it through the stitch while also pulling the stitch off of my arm and then sliding the new stitch onto my opposite arm. You can see it's much quicker. Alright, so I'm finishing up row 33, and now I'm going to show you how to end your blanket, how to bind off. So what you want to do is knit 2 stitches. 1, 2. The next thing you want to do is take the first stitch, pull it over the second one and off of your hand. You can tighten up just a little bit, and then you're going to knit 1, pull the first one over the second one and off of your hand, knit 1, and you're just going to keep repeating that until you have 1 stitch left on your arm. Now I was able to get 33 rows, but if your stitches were bigger than mine, you might have to end a couple of rows earlier. So maybe 30 or 31. That way you have enough yarn to end your blanket. Okay, and now we have this last stitch on our arm. This is all the yarn I have left, and we're just gonna pull that all the way through. Now you want to go ahead and weave in your tails. So this one and the cast on tail. And to do that, I'm just going to go through here. Okay, and then through to the front. And then one more to the back. And then in the back of the blanket, what you want to do is take that strand and just find a loop here, pull it halfway through, pull it halfway through again, and then pull it all the way through. And you're going to do the same thing on the other end. Go ahead and trim the excess. And then the next thing you'd have to do is do the tail on the other end, trim up all of your knots where you added new skeins, and that would be it. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it was helpful, and I will be back soon with some new videos for you guys. So I will see you in my next video.